All right, it is Sunday evening. I'm Trisha Turner. I want to come to you guys. There's been in my real estate world, we are a heavy listing team. That has been our main focus for many years. And, the NAR settlement, if you're familiar with the real estate world and the National Association of Realtors, there was a NAR settlement, of course, that came around not too long ago, or kind of a while ago now, that talked about real estate commissions, right? I've been doing this for a little over 20 years. I have been a buyer's agent for a long time. I was a solo agent for a long time. I was never part of a team. I went and got my broker's license years ago. I'm in Houston, Texas, and I have worked for every big box company out there almost. I've had my own independent brokerage, was at EXP for 5 years, was at Real for a year. We are now with Realty of America, where we'll stay. But through all of this, when I got my broker's license years ago, the main reason that I got my broker's license was so that I could open my own office. Why did I want to open my own real estate office? Well, not because I wanted to make a whole bunch of money. It was because I had been at other big box companies and did not like the way a lot of the offices were run. I didn't like the way a lot of training was or was not done. And for the agents, there just seemed to be a lack of communication and a lack of clear guidance, I would say. So I got my broker's license so that I could help other real estate agents be in an environment where they could thrive, where they could do more together. Because when I was a solo agent trying to figure it out all on my own, it was super hard. No one ever said here, try this. Here's a lead. Say this, buy this. Don't do that. There was never that guidance. I had to kind of figure it out on my own. So I'm very passionate about no agents being left behind and the consumer always being first and foremost, whether you're a listing broker, whether you're a buyer's agent, no matter what your role is, when you get your real estate license, you have a duty to uphold the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics, right? That's one of the things that a standard is. Well, when you get your broker's license, you have the same standards, but they're upheld to an even higher degree, right? In Texas, anyway, you have to do a lot more hours, production. There's a certain production requirement to get your broker's license. There's a certain amount of everything in order to get a broker's license. You can't just go to real estate school for 180 or 200 hours or whatever the hours are and get a broker's license. It doesn't work like that. So when I got my broker's license, it was to better myself, open my own office, and help real estate agents. The NAR settlement, when it came along, the main focus pretty much of the NAR settlement was lawyers, and this is what everyone's kind of summed it up to. Some people got upset and felt like real estate agents are making way too much money. Like we need to change the way commissions are paid. Who says that buyers should get paid or buyers agents should get paid this and by this person? And number one, when you look back at the history of real estate, commissions have always been negotiable. Always. There is no set amount of commission. There's never been a set amount of commission or a standard, right? None. Now, in the previous years in real estate, has there been a typical commission rate? Sure. Just like in the lawyer world and insurance world and doctor world and medical field, there's a typical fee for services rendered, right? You go to an attorney and you hire an attorney. And if they're going to draft a document, they charge a fee. This is what we charge. If they're going to represent you in a murder, this is their fee. This is what they charge. If you're going to go to a jury trial, now our fee increases to this, and this is what we charge. And no one ever says, hey, I don't want to pay you that fee. I don't think you're worthy of that. And they certainly don't have to go to court or get a spanking if they charge a certain amount of fee, whatever they deem they're worth, right? Insurance agents charge a fee for their services rendered. Are you following that? Like doctors charge a fee. If they're going to perform an operation, this is the fee that I charge. This is my hourly rate. No one ever questions those things. Do people complain about it? Yes, of course. Like, oh my gosh, they pay so much freaking money. But you don't see court cases, and you don't see a board overstepping people's boundaries and like, hey, you just charged $10,000 for that operation, doctor. We don't think that you're worthy of that $10,000. In fact, we're going to put guidelines in place, and we're going to put court cases in place forbidding you from charging that fee because it's in excess of what you're worth, right? You don't see that stuff, but in the real estate world, you do now. And so in the real estate world, it became a thing that real estate agents and brokers are compensated too much money for the services that they perform, which is crazy. They're not worth the value that they charge. They're not worth the money that they make. They sell an $800,000 house, and did you see the commission that they're paid? So it became just like, I don't know who instigated all of it, but it's crazy. So what became scrutinized was the buyer's agent commission. No one seemed to be able to justify a buyer's agent commission, right? So the NAR settlement, the Department of Justice came along, NAR, National Association of Realtors, all these lawsuits were filed by these lawyers, right, against the big box companies, real estate agents, MLSs, you name it, right? The end result was the DOJ wants sellers to pay their listing broker a fee, whatever that fee is, whatever's negotiated between the listing broker and the seller. It's put into a listing agreement. In the agreement, it states, me as listing broker, I am going to charge you, Mr. Seller, 3% of my fee, is my fee that I charge, that my company charges to sell your home, to use for marketing, my rates, whatever I'm going to use that 3% fee for, right? The DOJ stated that they wanted buyers to pay their agent's fee, a buyer agent fee, commission, whatever you want to call it, right? Historically, previously, before the NAR settlement, sellers had oftentimes compensated both the listing broker and the buyer's agent. How was that done? Listing broker went on a listing appointment to a seller to walk through the options of selling their home. And in exchange, they were saying, our company is charging you, say, 6% as our fee to sell your home. And of that 6%, we're going to split that with either the buyer's agent's company, or they could have said, we may offer 2% of that 6% to the buyer's agent. And that was done like that for years, the history of real estate. I've had my license for over 20 years. I've never seen it done and hadn't ever seen it done any differently. Now, prior to the NAR settlement, sometimes you would see in a listing agreement 5%, 4%, 3%, 5.5%, 7%. Whatever that fee was in the listing agreement prior to the NAR settlement, it typically was split, or there was a fee given to a buyer's agent, and then the listing broker, of course, retained their fee. And it was always, 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 always outlined in the listing agreement. Never was it hidden as to who gets paid what percentage, ever. The sellers were always aware because they signed it, and there was paragraphs in the listing agreement, what percentage goes to the listing broker and what percentage goes to a cooperating broker, meaning a broker or agent for the buyer. That's what that meant, right? Well, then the NAR settlement also said that not only did listing brokers have to change the way things were done, they could only charge their fee, and the buyers were supposed to pay the buyer's agent their fee separate, right? Then they kept getting modified, revised, modified, revised. Okay, we can use cooperating brokerages again, meaning the listing broker can charge whatever they want and offer compensation to the buyer's agent through the listing broker. That can be done, even though the DOJ does not want it done that way. It can be done that way in the contracts, in the agreements, but it cannot be put on MLSs, right? That was a no-no. In fact, the entire section in MLSs where you used to be able to go to see, hey, I'm going to go show 123 Main Street. It says on here that they're offering a 3% compensation to the buyer's agent. So if you were a buyer's agent working with buyers, you knew prior to ever going to show that house what you were likely to get paid. Now, keep in mind that commissions have always been negotiated, always been, and negotiable. Buyers and sellers, listing agents and buyer's agents, always. So prior to the NAR settlement, if it said on the MLS that the compensation being offered to a buyer's agent was, say, 2.5%, whatever was stated in that MLS advertised, right, is what had to be done. Like if you advertise that you as the listing firm were going to offer 2.5% compensation to a buyer's agent, and that was advertised in writing, in print, for all to see in public on the MLS, then you had to stand by that, period. Okay. Well, when the NAR settlement came along, they said you can no longer offer compensation on the local MLSs. Had to take it off. That whole section's gone. You can still offer it on your websites. You can put signs in the yard, the whole nine, right? Can't put it on MLSs. So then the rumors go around, buyer's agents are going to be freaking out. Maybe they're not going to get compensated at all. How are they going to know if they're going to get compensated before they go show a property, right? Just no one knew what the NAR settlement was going to turn into. A lot of us, including myself, believed that a lot of buyers, because it was when the settlement first came around and all these changes first came around, it was made very, very clear to us in the real estate world, especially in the broker side of things, that it's forbidden that the listing broker only can go in and charge what their fee is to list that home. That is it. You cannot offer compensation to a buyer's agent, right? And so the thought process was buyers then are going to be forced to pay their real estate agents' fees themselves, which in the world that we live in today, where credit card debt's at an all-time high, savings are depleted, buyers have to come up with a lot of money to buy a home. They have to come up with their down payment. They've got to pay their closing costs. There's fees involved with buying a home, right? So they're already paying a lot of money. Well, now you're going to tack on a buyer's agent fee for their services, right? For the buyers to pay. So we already knew that was going to become a problem. How is that going to work, right? So then everyone was like, well, maybe there's going to be a loan product that comes out that the buyer agent commission can get rolled into the loan. Well, then you got to worry about the home not meeting value, right? Not appraising for the sales price. So that's a whole nother video. I want to share with you because, again, I run a team. We do a lot of transactions. I work with a lot of sellers, a lot. We carry anywhere from 30 to 40 active listings at a time. So I'm constantly in the real estate listing side of the game. Since the NAR settlement, not only has it made our industry, in my opinion, more unethical and more cutthroat than ever, it's downright like disgusting in many, many circumstances. I cannot tell you the amount of transactions that I have almost been involved in on our own listings. That's why I'm speaking this out, because I'm really fed up with it. I've made several videos about this, but this last story that I'm going to share with you took the cake. Like absolutely unheard of what this agent attempted to do. And I want you guys, if you're in the real estate world, hopefully you never do this, because you should lose your license if you do. Or if you're doing it unknowingly, then you should watch this so that you don't lose your license. And if you're a buyer or a seller, you need to know about this so that this doesn't happen to you, so you can protect yourself and not have the sale of your home or the purchase of your home go awry because of the actions of a real estate agent. That's not okay. So in the NAR settlement, when this all came about and all of these guidelines were all now new and these things you can and cannot do, we were getting offers on our listings, and immediately buyers agents were calling before even submitting an offer. Hey, is your seller willing to pay my commission on 123 Main Street? And our answer is always the same. The seller is willing to pay compensation, submit it in your offer, and we'll present it to the seller. Because remember, it is negotiable. Now, a buyer's agent cannot show a home without a either touring agreement signed by that agent and the buyer, or a buyer's rep agreement also signed by both parties. In the buyer's rep agreement, it states in there the vicinity of the properties that they're looking at. It could just have a single address. It talks about the location of where the buyer is going to be looking at homes and where the agent's going to be showing homes. And if they go look at homes in that area or a specific address or whatever, there is a fee that that buyer's agent charges should they make a write a contract. And the buyer's agent fills in that amount, whatever it is. It could be 0, it could be 1%, it could be 10%, whatever. That is an agreement between the buyers and the buyer's agent. And according to the settlement and according to the agreement, the buyers, they sign that and they are responsible to pay that buyer's agent fee if they go under contract. It's for the buyer's agent services, right? That buyer agent agreement, buyer rep agreement can be amended. It can be amended. Whatever fee is written on there, you can always amend it, always. So it's negotiable. Remember, commissions are negotiable, period. So time and time again, when this settlement came along, we were getting offers on our listings, and hypothetically, the seller was fine with offering, say, 2% compensation to the buyer's agent, while the buyer's agent would submit a contract and we would go back and forth in negotiations, and the buyer's agent compensation would come in and the buyer's agent would be like, well, my fee is 3%. And the listing side would come back after talking to the seller, and the seller's like, I didn't ever offer 3%. I'm not offering 3%. I'm offering a 2% fee, and I think that's more than fair. Listing broker goes back to the buyer's agent. It's like, our sellers are only offering a 2% fee. They believe that this is more than fair. You're going to have to get that 1% fee if that's what you want. You'd have to go back to your buyer and get it because you have a buyer's rep agreement saying that they owe you that anyway, right? Long story short, time and time again, we were having many buyer's agents come back and be like, oh, actually, my buyers withdrew their offer. They changed their mind. What? What do you mean they changed their mind? Like, they love the house where everything is accepted upon, all our terms are accepted upon. What do you mean they changed their mind? They didn't change their mind. In the real estate world, all offers submitted are in writing, okay? And then all offers are to be presented to the sellers, okay? They're to see the offers in writing. Well, in the negotiations of back and forth between listing brokers and buyers agents, often it's done verbally on the phone, through email, through text. Often, most of the time, it's not done in the form of a written formal offer signed by all parties. There's usually no signatures on any of the counteroffers back and forth. It is unethical for a listing broker to talk directly to the buyer. You cannot do that. You can lose your license for doing that. So if I have a listing, I can only talk to the sellers, my clients, and I have a fiduciary duty to my clients to uphold their best interest. That is my number one priority, putting their own interests above my own. And then I communicate with the buyer's agent. So I am the communicator of what the seller's response is from that offer. The sellers, I present the offer to the sellers and I have a conversation about it. Sellers say, we want to offer this back, counter offer back to the buyers These are our terms. So it comes back. I usually, or the listing broker gives it to the buyer's agent, right? Buyer's agent then is supposed to deliver the terms that were given to that agent to the buyer. That's how that works. It doesn't have to be in writing, probably done on the phone, through text, through email, whatever. We on the listing side have no way to know, is that buyer's agent really giving the buyer the terms that we said? There's no way to know. And that never seemed to be an issue before. Again, I've been doing this over 20 years. So that was never an issue before. We're negotiating. The goal is your buyers want this house. You as a buyer's agent, you're trying to get them the best deal. That's your job. You as a buyer's agent are supposed to be upholding your buyer's best interest above your own. On the listing side, we're trying to get the best deal for our sellers. But at the end of the day, it needs to be a mutual agreement between all parties for the good of all parties. That's freaking real estate, okay? This last instant that happened, listing of ours, okay? We go back and forth. An offer comes through. We're in a multiple offer situation. An offer comes through. The buyer's agent called and asked, is your seller offering compensation, buyer agent compensation? We respond the same way we always do. Yes, seller is willing to pay buyer agent compensation. Please put it in your offer and it will be presented. Remember, multiple offer situation. So in a multiple offer situation, as a buyer's agent, you better make your offer strong because you're coming up against other offers, okay? As a listing agent, it's my duty to talk to my clients and go over all offers, run the numbers. You're going to net this. This is what this looks like. This is how we should negotiate this, la, 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 right? In this particular circumstance, we negotiate back and forth with the buyer's agent. And the buyer's agent responds in writing, in an email. The buyers accept all terms of the counter offer. Here's the revised offer. However, my compensation is 3%. So he sends in the revised offer at a 3% compensation. I respond, great, happy that the buyers and sellers have agreed to all terms. However, our seller was never offering 3%. As you know, the seller is only offering a 2% compensation on this. Please revise your offer to reflect that and let's move forward. Keep in mind, this is all in writing. He had said the buyers accept all terms and the contract came back with all terms accepted except for his compensation. So when I respond and I tell him that, and I responded at about probably 6 or 7 p.m. on an evening in writing. Next day, crickets. Nothing from this buyer's agent till later in the day. Sends the contract over. Here's the revised offer with the revised compensation. And I'm like, awesome, right? I'm expecting to see 2%. It's 2.5%. I respond, I believe you've misunderstood. Clients, sellers are offering a 2% buyer agent commission. Please revise your offer. He responds, all in writing, my fee is 3%, and I'm not going to work for less than 3%. I've got my buyer agreed to pay 0.5%. Your seller needs to pay 2.5%, or my clients said they will look for another house. Maybe this isn't the right one for them. It's all in writing. And I'm like, what? So I go into legality stuff and I'm like, this is not happening. There's no way this is okay. And then I found, after reading the Code of Ethics, it's not okay. I'm going to show you something on Article 1. So if you look here on Article 1, basically Article 1 states in here, when representing a buyer, seller, landlord, tenant, or other client as an agent, realtors pledge themselves to protect and promote the interests of their client. This obligation to the client is primary. It does not relieve realtors of their obligation to treat all parties honestly. Okay. When serving a buyer, seller, landlord, tenant, or other party in a non-agent capacity, realtors remain obligated to treat all parties honestly. Okay. Honestly. What ended up happening, y'all? I respond to him and I say, I really need you to rethink your position here because all parties, buyers and sellers, had agreed to the terms. The only thing holding this up is your demand for a higher compensation that was never offered, ever. And when I respond, I copy his broker because I'm like, the broker needs to be involved in this because this is an ethics violation, complete ethics violation. He is blocking the sale. He's trying to demand a higher compensation when it's not being offered. So I copy his broker so his broker can understand what's going on and perhaps get involved because as a broker, you're supposed to train your agents. Next day, still nothing. So about 4:00 in the afternoon, I got no response back. The broker, no response. I'm like, seriously? Like we're in a multiple offer situation. What is going on here? I call the broker. She answers the phone. Well, first of all, it rings like 5 or 6 times, no answer. And I call the real estate office line. Okay. No answer. I double tap, call right back. She answers, hello. I say, hey, her name. This is Trisha Turner, also a real estate broker. Keep in mind, she saw my email the night before because she was copied on it. She's like, oh. Long story short, she says they have a buyer's rep agreement at 3% and they're going to stand firm on the buyer's agent's going to be compensated 3%. And it needs to come from the seller if the buyer is unwilling to pay or unable to pay. And I told her, you do know that those buyer rep agreements can be amended. And this is a violation of the code of ethics because the buyers and sellers have agreed to all terms. The only thing holding this up is your agent's demand for a higher compensation. You really need to rethink this. And she says, no, we're going to stand firm on the buyer's rep agreement and we're going to stand firm on 3%. And I'm like speechless. And I go, you do realize that my client is going to file an ethics complaint, which of course will involve you. And you know what her answer was? Bring it. I'm like, bring it? What? All right, bring it. Well, epically, we are allowed to give our sellers the buyer's information. So I took a picture of the buyer's information, their phone number and their email address, and I sent it to my clients. And I said, this agent is in a violation of the code of ethics, and we have no idea what's actually being told to these buyers. I need you, because I cannot reach out to the buyers, but you can, according to all the legal questionnaires that I went through to find out what we can do. I said, you can. So I said, I need you to reach out to the buyers and ask the buyers. We want to make sure that you're aware what is going on because we've accepted all of your terms. The only thing holding up this sale is your agent's demand for a 3% compensation that was never offered. My sellers contacted the buyers directly and the buyers were blown away. They go, we had no idea. Our agent told us that you guys never responded to our offer. Mic drop, right? Never responded to their offer. So all those emails back and forth from their agent, the buyer's agent, saying that his buyers demanded that the sellers pay a 2.5% and that they would agree to pay 0.5% or they were going to go find another home. Complete lie. Complete lie. They were told that we on the seller side never responded. Buyer's agents, man, if you guys are doing that, you're going to end up losing your license. There's 3 violations. Look at Article 1 of the Code of Ethics, massive violation. Look at Article 3 and look at Article 16. Not only are there 3 violations, ethic violations there, a formal complaint can be filed with TREC and legal ramifications can come to the agent and the broker, the buyer's agent broker. Y'all, we got to do better. We got to do better. it's not okay. It's not okay to the sellers. It's not okay to the buyers. These buyers loved that house. These buyers were coming from out of state. They've never even seen the home. They found this buyer's agent on Instagram. They didn't even know him. They were blown away at all of this that happened. So buyer and seller had to communicate with each other to make it work because the agent was unethical. And not only was he unethical, his broker told me, bring it. So if you're a broker out there and you get an email about one of your agents, like, do the right thing and get involved. Make a call, find out what is going on. Because at the end of the day, if you're a broker and you hold a license and you're sponsoring other agents, you're training them and you're not training them to be ethical and put the client's needs above their own, shame on you. And you should lose your license and things should come against you. You should get ethics complaints and you should get violations and you should get punished. And so should the agents because it's not fair. Buyers are getting screwed and sellers are getting screwed and it's not okay. We have to do better in this industry. So I hope this video does somebody something good. I hope you brokers out there are blown away by this story. You're like, bring it? Seriously? We should just title this, Bring It. Do better, y'all. Buyers and sellers, ask questions. Ask your agents when you're involved in a negotiation thing. Ask to see the counter offers in writing. Ask to see the offers in writing. Ask to see the emails. Because if you ask your agent to show you that stuff, the text messages, whatever, they have to. I promise you, there's a lot of them out there that are not delivering the message that they're telling you. They're only looking out for themselves, their greedy own personal gain, their demand to get a 3% commission. All of that stuff is wrong. And if you're getting treated that way, reach out to their broker, reach out to the state, like find somebody that will lobby for your best interest because it's not okay. I'm Trisha Turner, you guys. I'm going to continue every day to get up to make our industry better and to teach agents the right way to do real estate and the most ethical way to do real estate because it's not okay, y'all. Have an awesome evening. Bye.